Ganda na nagbahaya. Sa Barisin ka kita. Isuriyahan na yung kita. Naka-open sa doktor niya. Ay, teka mo ng beto ba? Sabi ka na nag-chat mo sa mga friends mo. Ano mo ba?
A little bit of the potato salad, very little vegetables. But I will tell you, even though if you eat pure vegetables, reflux can still occur. So, what is the pathophysiology of reflux? How come some patients will have hoarseness of voice, chronic cough, or asthma? Because when you have reflux to the oropharyngeal area, you will now create what we call the laryngopharyngeal reflux. You have to breathe. As you breathe, there are some acid that would irritate your vocal cords or voice box. Therefore, you implant some form of hydrochloric acid. How will your trachea and vocal cords react? They will get inflamed. Therefore, as they become inflamed, you will now have hoarseness of voice, sudden attack of asthma, or have cough. When you do chest x-ray, everything normal. That's why if you encounter patients with chronic cough and no pulmonary origin of such nature, consider gastroesophageal reflux disease. If we look at the classification of your kind of esophagitis, these are the 4 gradings, meaning from mild, single column. However, the worst would be the grade D on the right lower, wherein you have the complications now of the thickening at the GE junction, where you create the so-called Barrett's esophagus. You are aware that Barrett's esophagus is a step before you develop your so-called esophageal malignancy. That is why, from a single, simple, inflammatory change of your distal esophagus or your esophagitis, we might get to encounter patients with malignancy just because of reflux. These are the spectrum of your GE reflux. Not all patients with reflux will have findings in their esophagus. That is why we have the so-called non-erosive type of reflux. These are patients, even though you do investigate, you will see no erosions, no inflammation. However, their clinical symptoms will simply come with reflux and regurgitation. That is why if you are aware, based on the clinical history and your physical examination, you can give them the appropriate treatment. Here, the drug of choice among the different spectrum of gastroesophageal reflux disease will be your proton pump inhibitor. Okay? Now, if we look at this now, do we have to do endoscopy? Because you will think, I am a gastroenterologist. Probably I would introduce endoscopy. No, because as far as gastroesophageal reflux disease is concerned, you do not need endoscopy for creating a final diagnosis. Everything is through history and physical examination. So if you have a patient with heartburn, regurgitation, symptoms of dyspepsia, flatulence, bloated sensation, early satiety, just give them the drug of choice, which is your proton pump inhibitor. Now, when do we do endoscopy? We do endoscopy if we have alarm signals. What are these alarm signals? Dysphagia, difficulty of swallowing, odynophagia, pain on swallowing, patient who has actual GI bleeding, hematemesis, or when we look at them, they are pale. Patients who have sudden weight loss, or let's put it this way, you have given them treatment, but refractory to treatment. probably endoscopy can now be requested. So, if you look at the diagnostic guideline here, endoscopy is the technique of choice to see if there is a lesion after you have given them the appropriate treatment. If you look at the distal esophagus and you see a lot of inflammatory change, some tissue changes, biopsy, sampling is warranted. If we look at the way we practice medicine, why do we give them the medications for reflux? Because we want our patients to be symptom-free. We want to heal them of whatever complaints they come to us for. And of course, we want to prevent any form of complications. So complications will include what? Barrett's esophagus. We won't like any form of inflammation or gastrointestinal bleeding. If you look at the lifestyle change, because earlier on, as you heard, lifestyle is very important. How do you institute diet and exercise? I will not be very detailed here because I will just make practical from the standpoint of us physicians. You eat up to the point that you are not hungry. Proper portioning. Okay? Don't say, masarap ang tapa, I will eat more tapa. You're not hungry, stop. Remember, increase in volume, increase in pressure. Higher the gastric pressure, more chance of reflux, higher the chance of regurgitation. Therefore, eat everything in moderation. I agree, no alcoholic beverages. Because alcohol and smoking will relax the lower esophageal sphincter. Do not engage in such activity because the moment you do that, regardless of how you manage lifestyle change, you will not be able to treat it. These are what we call the modifiable factors. These are factors within our reach, within our power to change. Exercise, very simple. The recommendation is just simply 3 times a week, at least 30 minutes a day. Do you do that as doctors? I know you tell your patients, mag-exercise ka. Ikaw, do you do that? So, without you answering me, keep it to yourself. Your conscience is going to bother you. As you take the next spoonful, you have to exercise. One thing that is part of lifestyle here is you have to chew your food. Are you aware how long, how much you have to chew per spoonful of food? Anyone who can give me a number? Kung may mga anak kayo, sinasabi nyo, dahan-dahan ang pagkain, nguyain mabuti bago lunukin. Ilan pagnguya ang dapat kailangan gawin? The normal physiology of food mincing should be around 15 to 20 bites before you swallow. And you have to take regular water intake. And I say water, not any form of liquid. Therefore, once you have GERD already, how should you manage the patient from the perspective of his position? If he is going to be symptomatic, tell them to lie down on the left lateral decubitus position, elevate, moderate to high back rest. And of course, generally, do not lie down 30 minutes after meals. Nawala yung... Pangin ng plug. Nawala yung... Okay. So, battery yata. Nawala yung battery. Nasa bag ko. Okay. I know my slides very well anyway. The next few slides will discuss about the medications that we are to take. You are aware that medications include your proton pump inhibitor. When you use your proton pump inhibitor, you know that the first novel medication that came into the market is your omeprazole. And then you form into other kinds of imidazole compound. You have your esomeprazole, your lansoprazole, your pantoprazole, labreprazole, and then right now you have other forms of medications, which are your potassium competitive acid blockers. So when we are going to look at this, among the medications and from the studies, it is said that esomeprazole will be a very good one. Na-share na pa. Meron pa. Nasaan sa Jepoy? Jepoy? Okay. Tawagin natin si Jepoy. Share na lang natin. Oo, share. Okay. Nawala daw yung wifi ng DACA. Hindi sa akin. So, when we look at this, may zoom pa. Dito na lahat. Ano ay? Dito sana. Ako na lang. Dito na lang po ulit dito. So na bahala. Oh, may tanong na muna kayo. Last 6 slides, don't worry. I won't consume the whole hour so that you can stand up, walk, relax, and burp a little. As you wait, please drink water regularly. It is needed. Nandiyan na. Full screen na lang. Okay, so you have to elevate your head, decrease the fat intake, and of course, smoking, and avoid lying down at least 3 hours, okay, after meal. So can you do that? Okay, it's up to you. Now, the guidelines for the treatment and diagnosis and management of GERD will include the use of your proton pump inhibitor. The recommendation is really 8 weeks of treatment. Again, when we look at today's discussion, we know that among Filipinos, our medication is out of pocket. We know that this is a drug of choice. However, 10 our countrymen maintain this medication for 8 weeks. That is why what I do an installment basis of management. I give it for 3 weeks, tell them to come back, and then extend it slowly 2 weeks thereafter, so that they don't have to buy 8 weeks of medication immediately. Because if you do that, they will not comply with the treatment at hand. If you look at the acid suppression here, the main idea is to give the acid control at its peak. That is why the proton pump inhibitor is given best before a meal, before the acid is expressed out from the hydrogen potassium ATPase system. Therefore, our treatment, when we give a proton pump inhibitor, for example, your esomeprazole, you give it 1 tablet once a day before breakfast. But in the advent now of many of our patients doing night shift, how do you prescribe it now if they are doing night shift? The recommendation is to tell them to take 1 tablet before their first meal or their so-called breakfast. Because if their time comes at 10 to 6, they would wake up at 6 p.m., then please take the tablet before your first meal. Because if you tell them breakfast at that time, our normal 9 to 5 schedule, they might be with food inside their stomach. Okay? So here, it is clear that the proton pump inhibitor is your drug of choice for symptom control, for maintenance of a drug of a symptom-free patient. Among the imidazole compound, we have many studies showing you the esomeprazole to be working. It comes with a stock dose of 40 milligrams once daily. Therefore, if you look at it, acid suppression is the key to the treatment of gastroesophageal reflux disease, and this comes with diet and exercise. Again, gastroesophageal reflux disease is the return of gastric content to the esophageal area, creating the two most typical symptoms, heartburn and regurgitation. Treatment of choice will always be your proton pump inhibitor. Studies have shown esomeprazole has an edge over other imidazole compounds. And I think this is my last slide. Before I end, I would like to extend my congratulations to the PMA, to the organizing committee, and of course, to you who might want to use my program, Clinica sa Istrenta, in your AM radio every day, 2 to 3 p.m., as I sit with my co-anchor, Bernadette Sembrano Aguinaldo, to discuss any medical illness. If the PMA has any form of announcement and you want my program to air it for you, please hand all your communications to Rick Batak. He has access to me anytime. So I think Rick Batak is your CPD head of the PMA. Hand your communication to him and I will air it in my radio program every day. It's Monday to Friday, Clinica sa Istrenta, DWPM, 630 kilohertz. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for your kind invitation. Any questions? Ako na mag-moderate. Kalma ka lang, Doc. Ako na muna. Nagmi-meeting mga presidente. I can handle the Q&A. Any questions?
Doc, sorry. Doc, thank you. Thank you very much for a very good, warm lecture, Doc, no? Kasi isa din ako sa mga may mga GERD na ganun, Doc. So, we have a question, Doc. We have question here sa baba po.
May tanong? Huwag
May
kayong
tanong po.
manigarilyo, ha? Kasi nicotine will destroy the PPI. If a patient smokes or vape, one problem is it relaxes the sphincter, the lower esophageal sphincter. It will destroy the main component of your PPI. That's why many of our patients are not responding well.
Doc, we have a question here from online, Doc, from Dr. Emilio Chu. How can we prevent the occurrence of gastritis or peptic ulcer resulting from intake of blood thinner medicines or anticoagulants?
Okay. The blood thinner, I think, being referred here is clopidogrel. Because among cardiologists, they don't like to mix it with proton pump inhibitors. Clopidogrel is a prodrug, meaning this has to be activated into an active clopidogrel. It has to pass through the liver using the cytochrome P450 enzyme, particularly yung CYP2C19. So if your patient is a cardiac patient who is taking clopidogrel, you can use your esomeprazole safely because it is not going to touch the CYP2C19 component of the cytochrome P450. Therefore, clopidogrel has full complement of the use of the liver and that enzyme to convert into an active drug. Because the studies have shown sometimes there are the PPI will consume the enzyme, resulting to clopidogrel not going into its active phase. They come and do it with all the PPIs. Therefore, among the PPIs, they found ESO to be the safest.
Thank you, Doc. Doc, do you have any question pa sa ano ba? So, doctors. So, I have another question, Doc. From what is the time to give to add antacid to a GERD patient? Thank you. Yun daw, Doc.
Antacid?
Yes, Doc.
The antacid that I would add among patients who have this condition will be Rebamipide, 100 milligrams twice daily. I would use that. If your patient now are symptomatic only on very few occasions, then you use your sodium alginate, the one that comes in a sachet. You can use it 3 times a day as needed, PRN. There's one question online here is that there's one gastro who lectured before about one proton pump causing microhemorrhage in studies. That particular study is not substantiated by a double-blind randomized controlled study. That is why that is still a study, but it is not yet repeated. Okay? If your allergy to omeprazole, what can you substitute? You can be very sure and detect first. You can do a skin patch test among patients who are taking imidazole compound. Very few allergy is encountered. Any more questions?
Another question, Doc. Can you give PPI or esomeprazole to pediatric patients?
Yes. You can give it to pediatric patients, but that is off-label. Because if you look at the indication from the packaging, it is marketed for the adults. However, if you look at it from the perspective of milligram per kilogram content, you can use the 20 milligrams to a pediatric patient. The youngest I've given was 7. But I told the mother that this is licensed for the adult. They agreed. It's an off-label prescription.
Okay, Doc. Another doc from Dr. Sandra Kotia. What can you substitute for allergy for a medicine that a patient with allergy to omeprazole or
Yun. I said that there are other medications you can give. There are, if you really don't like to give your so-called imidazole compound, then you have the other ones, your potassium competitive acid blocker. They come in either tegoprazan and others. Okay, you have it now in the Philippine market. There are only 3 right now.
Okay. Doc, can you yung the combination within the PPI doing a GERD patient, the PPI NIH2 blocker and plus antacid, the 3 combination?
I won't give an antacid anymore because the PPI, like esomeprazole, can sustain its presence for 24 hours. Now, what do I combine? I will combine with sodium alginate, yung mga sachet na mint para as needed lang for that situation wherein they are symptomatic.
Thank you, Doc. So, do you have any?
Yes, Doc.
Oh, yes.
Doctor, thank you for that wonderful lecture. There was a report that a prolonged intake of PPI, particularly osomeprazole, could ironically lead to gastric malignancy. Is it true?
Okay, you're talking of the carcinoid syndrome because it is said that if you take off all the acid in the stomach, there's a chance for you to let the whatever grow inside the stomach. So far, that particular study or recommendation is not really substantiated. I mean, we have yet to find one patient to create that one. That was a study done on a certain laboratory animal. The carcinoid syndrome, Doc. Okay.
Any question pa? So with that, thank you very much. No?
Okay,
Dr.
thank you
Dennis,
very
no?
much. Congratulations, PMA.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngo and Dr. Liagas. Now we go to the awarding of certificates. The Philippine Medical Association and UNILAB presents this certificate of appreciation to Dr. Dennis C. Ngo, In grateful recognition and sincere appreciation for sharing your invaluable time and expertise as speaker on the topic GERD Management, Insights to Symptoms and Healing during the PMA Unilab CPD Regional Assembly for the Western Mindanao region, given the 16th day of February 2025 at the CAC Hotel, Dapitan City, Zamboanga del Norte. Signed, Dr. Ricardo Batak, Chair, PMA CPD Commission. Dr. Mildred M. Manialak Mariano, Secretary General. Mr. Sebastian Frederick Bakiran, President and CEO Unilab Inc. and Dr. Hector Santos Jr., President PMA. Same certificate is also being given to Dr. Mark Ian Liagas with the same topic and signatories. Now let us move on to our next topic, which will be moderated by Dr. Michael Angelo H. Pelotio, Vice President, Zamboanga Sibugay Medical Society.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Our next topic would be the ethics of doctors in business. Our esteemed speaker is a diplomate and fellow of the Philippine Orthopedic Association, fellow of Philippine College of Surgeons, fellow International College of Surgeons, diplomate Philippine Board of Orthopedics Incorporated, and fellow of Philippine Society of Anatomists. Currently, he is a member of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, member of the IBP Quezon City and QC Trial Lawyers Society, and he was also the past chairman of the Department of Surgery, National Children's Hospital in Quezon City, past president, Philippine Medical Association, past vice president and legal counsel of the Philippine Hospital Association. He is also a professor of medicine at FEU NRMF Institute of Medicine in Quezon City, Adventist University of the Philippines College of Medicine in Cavite, and a law professor at the University of the East, College of Law, Manila, and Manila Law College, of course, in Manila. So he is also a life member of the Manila Medical Society. Together, let us all welcome our esteemed speaker, Attorney Dr. Leo O. Olarte. A round of applause, please.
Okay, maayong hapon sa inyong tanan. Ako'y taga Iligan City. So, pareho rata og Binisaya. Thank you, Western Mindanao, for inviting me to this very important regional assembly of the Philippine Medical Association. Ang akong topic is about the ethics of doctors in business. So, sa tanaw na ko, daghan ng mga doktor karon ga negosyo. Of course. Kay ang mga pasyente mangod nato mga pobre, dili magbayad. Plus PhilHealth, dugay mobayad o mobayad man. Dili pagid insaktong bayad. Kung mahimo mo iwas pagid sa bayad ang PhilHealth, no? Well, ang kining presidente karon sa PhilHealth, akong amigo, kay orthopedic surgeon na siya, so kaila may. But akong giingnan, bayad na ang mga doktor sa utang sa PhilHealth. Kay nako kay utang ang PhilHealth sa mga doktor. So I hope he is going to fulfill his promise to me that he is going to pay the PhilHealth of the doctors. Kaya mga doktor karon ganegosyo gyud. Nung estudyante pa ako, ang negosyo is not encouraged. It's even discouraged by our ethics professor. Kaya ang doktor ko, no, is to live a modest and non-business non-business-like practice of medicine. Pero sa ngayon, hindi na pwede na mere practice na lang ng atong profession. Nagnegosyo na gyud ang mga doktor karon. Labi na og sa Manila, ako gasto niya mahalang gasolina, no? Unya imong mga anak, imong gisuportahan sa college, eskwela po og medicine, ako kay gasto. So, ang mga doktor karon karamihan nagnegosyo na. Well, ethical naman, hindi naman bawal ang negosyo sa mga doktor. Okay, okay tayo magnegosyo. In fact, I encourage the doctors to have a business in association also with their practice of medicine para dili ta mangilog og pasyente. Nga di po ta mo singil og diko kaysa atong mga pasyente. So kung natay negosyo, okay lang, bisag di mo bayad ang PhilHealth, bisag di mo bayad ang pasyente, it's all right. Kaya dili man na main source of income nato. Ang atong main source of income is ang atong negosyo. Okay, so we go forward. Oy. Kining atong lecture karon is a survey, question survey on doctors who are engaged in business also. Kini akong partner si Attorney Castro, Dr. Pod, pathologist, siya pod ang nag-conduct sa survey sa mga 637 or more doctors. So, kini mga doktor were given questions, no? Ang question din is, aside from medicines, Dr. A prescribes herbal products from a pharmacy that he owns. Is this unethical? Okay. Ang tubag din is yes. Blue, no? Kadaghanan 46.9 of the 637 doctors surveyed said that it is unethical. Okay? So pag blue, okay, unethical yan. Pag red, it is not unethical. Okay. Pharma X gives incentives to Dr. A in order that Dr. A will prescribe only the products of Pharma X. And because of this, Dr. A prescribes only the products of Pharma X. If Dr. A unethical, sa itubag ninyo, kadaghanan sa mga doktor nga atong gipang survey, ingon sila, yes, Dr. A is unethical. Okay? Mayroon bang mga position dyan? May objection ba din sa answer sa mga doktor? Oy, Dr. Mildred Mariano is calling. Okay. Next slide. Is receiving rebates or commissions for prescriptions unethical. Gan gahatag og mga rebate karon, no? Commission, doc. Describe mo itong ating gamot or dito ikaw magpa-laboratory. Magpa-laboratory kasi ng mga pasyente, meron kang rebate. May commission ka. 30% ang commission din dito mo refer ang mga pasyente mo for laboratory testing. Or kini nga tambal ang prescribe do na kay 30% sa prescription nimo bawat capsule, bawat tableta, is receiving rebates or commissions for prescriptions unethical? Yes, unethical ang karamihan ng sagot dito. Okay? And well, ang mga sagot dito are from the majority of those who are who have received the survey questionnaires, and all of them are correct. Di-analyze na mo ni Dr. Castro, tama ang mga sagot nila, 100%. Is it unethical? Is it unethical for doctors to own a pharmacy? Okay, karamihan, ang answer is no. Of course, wala problema. Sa una, katong ko pa ko ni graduate sa residency, pagbalik na ako sa Boston, coming back to Manila, I practice orthopedics. So may pasyente kayo, na yung mga pasyente, di pumubayad, tayo ako ng pharmacy, harapan ng hospital. Sa harapan ng hospital sa Pasay City. Pero when my practice peak, dumami ng pasyente, hindi ko na madalaw yung pharmacy na yan. Na-bankrupt yung pharmacy. Yung sales lady ang nagkaroon ng boyfriend. So yung mga gamot, pag may sakit yung boyfriend niya o mga kamag-anak, binibigay na yung mga antibiotics. So, mahirap kasi din i-audit, i-monitor mo yung botika. Every time you have to count the capsule, the tablets, lahat, yung mga gamot doon, mahirap i-audit yan. So, hindi mo alam kung yung 100 na binili mo na esomeprazole, kung nabawasan na ng isa o dalawa yan, lugi ka na. Okay? So, mahirap din magnegosyo, mas lalo na pag hindi mo natutukan. Pero pwede tayo bilang doktor magnegosyo ng drugstore. Huwag lang tayo magbigay ng rebates o commission sa ating kapwa doktor. Okay? A pharma company sponsors the hotel accommodation of a doctor to attend an international convention. Is it unethical? Ano sa inyong tubag? Okay, kadaghanan ni tubag og no. Okay, well of course, ako, sponsored ako ng Unilab for my hotel accommodation dito sa Dakak. But very ethical itong Unilab. Hindi nila sinabi sa akin, Doc, reseta mo itong esomeprazole. Walang sinabi. Bahala ka na diyan, Doc. So very ethical itong Unilab. Although they're the ones who sponsored me to come to Dakak for this lecture. Okay? A pharma company sponsors the registration of a doctor to attend an international convention. Is it unethical? Unsay tubag ninyo? Nasag na mo'y objection din sa tubag? No. Ang karamihan dito said no. Okay, so pwede tayo magpa-sponsor sa pharma company to attend a convention in Ukraine. Pwede tayo mag-attend ng convention doon, sponsored by pharma sa Ukraine. Okay? Next question. Is it unethical for a group of doctors to own a pharmaceutical company? Yung, ano ba yung pharmaceutical company na investigar sa Senado dahil nitong ating whistleblower na si Dr. Lechon. Ano ba yun? Kelbenz. Kelbenz Pharmaceutical Company. Now, alam mo, ito si Dr. Lechon, di ko maintindihan ito eh. Bakit naman, dito pa niya sinumbong sa Senado itong mga alleged unethical practices ng mga doktor natin na cardiologist din. O, bakit niya isumbong sa Senado? O, bakit hindi niya sinumbong na lang sa Commission on Ethics of the Philippine Medical Association or sa Committee on Ethics of the Manila Medical Society, of which I am a member and he is also a member? Or pinailan sana niya ito ng kaso sa PRC na lang, Board of Medicine. Why was the complaint filed in the Senate? Binanatan tayo doon ni grabe yung pagkabadat ni ito si Jinggoy Estrada. Binanatan, siniraan ni Jinggoy Estrada ang mga doktor na gustong kumita at the expense of the poverty of the patient. Pagkakakitaan pa ng mga doktor dahil sa mga gamot galing sa farmasya na ito owned by doctors. Now to me, unethical yung ginawa ni Dr. Lechon. I really told him about this. Hindi mo dapat sinumbong dito sa Senado. Hindi naman yan lang tamang venue. So, instead of promoting the good name of the medical profession, siniraan mo ang mga doktor, ang ating magandang pangalan bilang doktor. Isumbong mo in the proper venue. You are talking to the wrong tree. Prangka ako. No? Okay yung ginawa mo, but hindi tama yung venue na sinumbungan mo sa Senado. Pwede mo namang isumbong din sa Committee on Ethics of the Manila Medical Society or the Committee on Ethics of your local PMA society, di ba? Bakit dito pa sa Senado? Doktor ka, gusto mo bang masira ang ating pagka-doktor? Ang ating mahal na profesyon na pinaghihirapan natin? Kung ang doktor may code of ethics na we claim is the noblest profession and the best code of ethics, ang mga abogado din, they also claim that the law has the noblest code of ethics. So, ang mga pare, they also claim that their ethics is the best. Itong mga engineer, itong mga ibang mga questions, they also claim that they have the highest code of conduct, ethical conduct. So, wag mong siraan ang pangalan, magandang pangalan, image of the medical profession by reporting unethical practices in the Senate o sa House of Representatives. Pagtatawanan tayo dyan. Dito mo isumbong sa proper venue. PMA, Commission on Ethics. Para mabigyan ka kaagad ng sagot doon sa iyong complaint. At paparusahan yung mga members ng component society or the members of the PMA who are practicing unethical ventures in doing business. Okay? Is it unethical for a group of doctors to own and run a hospital? Daghang mga doktor na naay mga hospital. Dili lang sa Manila, nag-invest ako ng kwarta sa duha ka hospital. And all of us own the hospital. And of course, dahil investor ka diyan sa hospital na yon, yung mga pasyente mo, doon mo rin i-admit. Alanganin naman i-admit ko sa ibang hospital. Okay. So ano ang sagot dito? Is it unethical for a group of doctors to own and run a hospital? It's a resounding no. Tama yan. Okay, so we go to the main code of ethics of the Philippine Medical Association. For your information, ang code of ethics of the Philippine Medical Association is the only code of ethics that is recognized by law. Republic Act 2382 the Code of Ethics of the Philippine Medical Association is the standard for ethical practice of all doctors. Code of Ethics ng Philippine College of Surgeons, of which I am a member, a fellow, is not the main source, or Code of Ethics ng Specialty Association, halimbawa Philippine Society of Physicians, College of Physicians. So it's the PMA Code of Ethics. And unsay gisulti din sa preamble na to. The doctor is a friend of mankind, kaibigan ng mankind, and should cherish a proper pride in the calling and conduct in accordance with the Code of Ethics of the Philippine Medical Association. Okay, kay balo naman tani, no? These are fundamental principles. Kini, just to refresh our memories, fundamental principles, respect for life. Sa Amerika, kaaway ang mga politiko dito, labi na sa eleksyon ni Trump o ni Kamala Harris. No, because itong mga Democrats, of which Kamala Harris is the presidential candidate before, no? They respect the autonomy of their patients, of their pregnant patients, to undergo abortion. Halimbawa, ikaw ay doktor, may pasyente ka, 6 weeks pregnant. Dok, gusto kong ipa-abort itong aking anak kasi yung nag-rape sa akin, aking ama. Yung nag-rape sa akin, aking kapatid. Yung nag-rape sa akin, yung aking uncle. Or yung nag-rape sa akin, ito ang kaaway ko. Ni-rape ako. Oh. So, unsa ba imuhang desisyon na 6 weeks pregnant. Obstetrician ka. Usa ka pasyente, sigig hilak, crying that you will give compassion and pity, understanding. Dok, i-abort mo itong aking anak, itong aking pregnancy 6 weeks, because this is a product of rape. Or, anawa, ang nag-rape sa ako, akong tatay, akong father, or my stepfather. So, unsa may imong himuon na maluoy ka ni? Ha? O, di ba? So, muna ang stand sa mga Democrats. Ito namang mga Republicans, who is represented by Donald Trump. Sabi naman, respect for life. Kahit yan ay produkto ng rape or unsa pa man diha, tao din yan, walang kasalanan yung bata na yan. Kung patayin mo yan, that is murder. O di ba? So there is a heated, hot argument among doctors doon sa Amerika. But the basic principle is respect for life. Now, there is also a debate. When does life begin? Is it at the exact moment of fertilization? Number one. Or is it at the exact moment of implantation of the blastocyst in the endometrium of the pregnant woman? Or is it at the after delivery, at the exact moment the baby is delivered from the womb of the mother? So there are 3 choices. But the Philippine Constitution recognizes that birth begins at the exact moment of fertilization. And this, I believe, is so. I believe is so because, in fact, there are others who believe that like yung sperm and yung egg has already life in itself. Bisag wala pa na ma-fertilize, yung sperm na yan, yung punla na yan, sa Tagalog pa, pero sa Bisaya, ambot lang. Sa Tagalog, sa Binisaya, sa sperm, Pero sa ubang mga tao, and then some scientists even say that before fertilization or a wastage of that sperm is also murder kay bata na. That is already one half life because that sperm has also life. So lumabo na ang debate. But basically, doctors should respect life. And according to the Philippine Constitution, the exact time when life begins is at the exact moment of fertilization. Okay. Kining uban diri di na nato ni kuanan kay kibalo naman tani, respect for person, respect for principle of social justice. Okay, the principle of beneficence. There are 4 important ethical principles that we doctors know, and we already have studied this extensively during our medical school. Beneficence, maleficence, non-maleficence. Okay, non-maleficence, justice, and primum non nocere, autonomy. Okay, again, beneficence, non-maleficence, autonomy, and justice. Okay, principle of beneficence, we all know. The interest of the patient is higher than the interest of the doctor. So, intindihin niyo yan. Mas mataas ang interest ng pasyente compared to that of the doctor kahit hindi nagbabayad yan. Kahit nag-issue pa ng bouncing check yan or promissory note, hindi naman nagbayad. Ang interest pa rin niya is higher than the interest of the doctor. Primum non nocere, alam na natin yan. Okay, what is the primary objective in the practice of medicine? Review lang. Service to mankind. Okay, so do not forget, service to mankind is the primary objective of the doctor. Service to mankind. Lumabas ito sa board exam, physician's license or exam. What is the primary objective of the practice of medicine? Number 1, service to mankind. Service to the doctor. Income, etc., etc. Ang iba, sinabi, service to the family, to your own family. Kay income, saan ba mo pagpakaon sa mga pamilya? How will you support your family? Okay, but the primary objective in the practice of medicine is service to mankind. Okay, alam ng mga doctors yan dito sa Western Mindanao. The doctor should be upright, diligent, modest, imbued with professionalism, and well-versed in the science, art, and ethics of the profession. I always emphasize this. Alam mo, ang PMA, ang pinakamagandang asosasyon. Why? In every convention, they always have lectures on ethics and art. Ethics and art is more important to me than science. Dito sa Philippine Orthopedic Association Annual Convention, ang lecture dyan, before my insistence, lahat mga bukog lang. Sige, nagbalik-balik, bukog. Bones. So, kapoy na kayo. Walay ethics lecture. So, did you hear that the first surgeon who has been convicted by the Supreme Court for malpractice is an orthopedic surgeon? Is my good friend, Dr. Benigno Agbayani. Naawa ako talaga doon. He died in prison. You see? Because ang atong gi-emphasize kanonay sa atong mga convention, obstetrics, gynecology, pediatrics, surgery, medicine, walay lecture sa ethics. Ethics is very, very important. To me, it is more important than the science itself. Daghang mga doktor nga mga they are specialist, fellow diplomate. Pero sila ang mas maraming demanda. kining mga GP, dili kayo kuan sa specialty, but ethics, ethical practice. Walay demanda kayo. Oh, ngano man na. So we must restudy, no? We should subject this to review. Ngano nga ang mga doktor kadaghanan nga gipang-demanda o mga priso are espesyalista. Oh, wala man good kayo prinsipyo sa ethics. So if you are a member of your specialty society, you emphasize this to your to the committee on the organizing committee to include lectures on ethics, the art of the practice of medicine. Very important. So include this. Para balance ang convention, there should be lectures in the art and ethics of medicine and the science also of medicine. Okay? Professional competence. Okay. Professional competence includes ethical, professional practice, and of course, science. Patient's trust, the highest fiduciary relationship is trust and confidence. Ngano ang pasyente mo dool sa doktor? It is because of trust. Nadinig niya. Naniniwala ko. Meron na akong tiwala, magaling na doktor ito. The physician shall respect the patient's right to seek a second opinion. Na mga doktor nga, laparoscopic cholecystectomy kita. Kaya importante kini. Moingon yung pasyente, Dok, I will seek a second opinion. Ingon ang pasyente, ayaw kasubok. Encourage the patient if he wants to seek a second or a third opinion, okay lang yan. No problem. So, that is the proper practice, ethical practice of medicine. Allow the patient to seek a second opinion. Okay? Promotion of the practice of physicians shall be involved in the promotion of the medical profession and do not employ agents in the solicitation and recruitment of patients. Sa una, katong bago pa ko, practice sa medisina sa Iligan, makadungog ko mga doktor nga ka-advertise sa radyo. DXRC. Okay. Anhi mo kang Dr. Olarte kay maayo ni nga doktor. Maayo day mo ani. Advertisement. Mo-advertise pa sa local media. Social media. Pakita pa sa ilang eksperto sa pag-opera. You see, local media. That is not allowed. Unprofessional and unethical. Okay? So do not solicit patients or recruit patients. We can use a promotion of our medical practice by professional cards, internet directory, but this shall be posted only within the premises of your clinic. And the signboard shall not exceed 1 by 2 meters in size. Unsay nakabutang dito? Ngalan sa doktor. Ang iyang specialty practice, OBGYN. Okay. Place, Iligan Adventist Medical Center, Iligan City. Telephone number. Yan lang. Yan lang ang ilalagay mo. Huwag mong ilagay doon Dr. ABC, pinaka-espesyalista sa panganganak ng pasyente. Mas magaling pa ito kaysa ibang doktor. Galing ako sa Russia, galing ako sa Ukraine, nag-specialize ako doon. O galing ako sa Amerika. That is unethical advertisement. No? Labag sa ating Code of Ethics. Continuing professional development. This is continuing professional development. Okay? Well, alam niyo ang continuing professional development sa abogado is every 3 years and talagang napakahigpit. I just finished the last mandatory continuing legal education last Friday. 4 na Fridays and starting 8 o'clock in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening, diretso. And then, although online lang yan, pero perting istriktuhas. So taking, open your video, your screen will take a picture. If you are sleeping, you are still present. Kung mangihi mo, you have to put their biological break. Pero ang sabi nung lecturer, pag mangihi ka, sabihin mo lang liquidation or liquid break. Pag malibang ka, ibutang lang dito og solid waste. Solid waste break. So, ganon. You have to inform the lecturer, solid waste break or urine or liquid break. Ganon kahirap ang pag-attend ng ka-stricto sa CPD sa mga abogado. And you cannot practice, law kung dili nimo mabutang ang imong current compliance with this CPD. I think that is already provided in the new law that is to be studied by the Senate. Nakapasar na yata dito sa lower house, nasa Senado na. You will not be allowed to practice medical profession kung wala kay compliance sa CPD. Compliance sa CPD endorsed by the Philippine Medical Association. Okay? Professional interaction. Relationship, the interrelationship between physicians and the business company. Ang atong relationship with UNILAB, being doctors. UNILAB is our permanent and forever continuously continuous partner in CPD. Unsay atong relationship, but I respect. Wag na ngayon ng mga UNILAB nga dili ra mo sa amuang tambal. Mo prescribe mo prescribe og tambal sa laing butika. Wala gyud. Very ethical in their relationship with doctors. Protect the good name of a colleague. Ayaw daota ang imong kompetensya. Pareha mong nephrologist din sa Dipolog, Pagadian, Dapitan, Zamboanga City, pareha mong cardiologist. Ayaw daota. Ayaw daota ang iyang practice. Mingon ka nga mas maayo ka kaysa iya. That is not ethical. Professional courtesy to a colleague. Always deal with your colleague professionally, ethically. That is very important. Our interpersonal relationship with our colleague. When I was bago pa ko ni I just passed the board exam or for diplomate sa orthopedics and I was practicing at St. Luke's, Quezon City. Na ako'y pasyente nga gi-admit. Magadto na ako sa ospital. Ang pasyente instead of admit under the service of Dr. Leo Olarte, nakabutang na dito transfer to the service of doctor, etc., etc. And wa ko makareklamo kay ang gibalhinan sa pasyente is my consultant. So sa pa man ako nga, I'm just a greenhorn, just newly graduate, and the one who took my patient is my consultant. Pinabayaan ko lang. Sige lang sir, mas malaki ang kailangan mo kaysa yung residente. No? Ganun lang, but I can just compare myself now, no? I always pagka ayaw ko sa pasyente, masyadong komplikado. Ibibigay ko sa mga residente ko, ikaw, Dr. Sonso, ikaw naman kung itong pasyente, sa iyo na yan. I will help them develop their practice. Mga estudyante mo yan, mga residente mo yan. Huwag mong agawan ng pasyente. Kaya, yun ang maganda na magaling na consultant. Professionalism. Okay? Professional compensation. The basic factor to consider in professional fees is the capacity of the patient to pay. Akong nahibawaan kining mga neurosurgeon ba? Kung kaya sila singil, Ha? Craniotomy, single of 500,000, 600,000. Imagine that. Pero di man makabayad ang pasyente. Oh. Pero nga taas man kayo lang professional fee. Well, although I recognize that importante ang utok. Well, what part of the body is not important? All parts of the body are equally important, but ang taas man kayong singil ang neurosurgeon. No, now when I was one of the speakers in their convention, I posed the same question. No, okay, and they discourage their society discourages high professional fees. No, unconscionable. Ang tawag dyan is unconscionable professional fee. Okay. So the basic thing to consider in charging your professional fee is the capacity of the patient to pay. Common good, well, bawalan na to na. Ethical and professional conduct. Now, we must always strive to comply with this. Ethical and professional conduct. Labi na mag-drive ta. Kalit lagkat ng taxi o jeep. There's Manila, nga traffic ay gadali ka. Kanaugan imong taxi, imong sumbago ng yung kanan si paon mo sa mga driver ka wa kay wa kay utok. Kami balo nga doktor ko nya imo ko giblakingan din eh. Oh, perting kaulawan na to. Keep calm. Rage, road rage ang tawag diyan, road rage. Tempestuous temperament, volatile temperament, dili na mayo. You're a professional. You're a professional, the highest professional, the highest profession in the land is the practice of medicine. Be always ethical. Kalma lang ang taon. Ayaw buga sa imong violent conduct. Okay? Exercise sound judgment, discipline in dealing with pharmaceutical and medical companies. No, physicians shall not solely rely for financial support from the biopharmaceutical and medical companies, device companies, in the compliance with CPD. Okay, physicians may be engaged as resource person like Dr. Ngo. While ago, resource person ng Unilab sa GERD. No? But, this is what I'm going to say. They must receive an honorarium. Kailangan ang mga doktor who lectures in your society, Philippine College of Surgeons, mga doktor diha nga mo lecture, walay honorarium. That is not appropriate. Ayaw, do not exploit your colleague. You give them honorarium. Ang spend for their time in research, in doing the PowerPoint presentation takes time and effort. Give them an honorarium, the appropriate honorarium. Dili na bayad. But that is to recognize their expertise, their good spirit in sharing their knowledge. Acquiring the specialty is not free. Ilan ang gastuan. So give them an honorarium. Otherwise, it will be exploitation. Okay? Physicians shall not participate in marketing strategies. Especially limited ito sa pagbigay ng mga rebate, commission, raffle, prescription pad, mga ballpen to promote a marketing strategy for your product. Okay, this is, I think, the last slide. What is the basis for a ground, the important ground for being reprimanded or suspended or revoked of your license to practice medicine? Mao ni mga grounds. PRC o sa mga korte, because I'm actively practicing medical malpractice, ang karabihan yun, no, is gross negligence, ignorance, or incompetence in the practice of the profession. Bisa kaning PhilHealth, return to hospital, RTH, or they will deny your reimbursement claim for failure to comply with the standard medical practice. Kukoy. Kung may kompetensya ng PhilHealth, na moingod sila nga wala ka mo comply sa standard medical practice na ayaw mga ni pasyente, wala mo reklamo ang pasyente. Na kamo hinoon PhilHealth, moingon mo nga dili bayra ng doktor because he failed to comply with the standard medical practice. That is not correct. You are an insurance corporation. You are not competent. You are not more competent than the doctor. But why will you deny compensation for alleged failure to comply with the medical standard of practice? Okay, so muna yung number 1, ignorance, incompetence, gross negligence. Number 2 is immorality. Pero muna yung number 1 sa PRC, immorality. Nakay asawa, po imuhang secret asawa. Na imuhang secret lover. Ang professionalism, ethical conduct includes public, and private life. Sikreto lang ng ato ato lang ni. So immorality, alam mo na yan. Okay, so yan ang pinaka common for malpractice complaints. Again, what are the grounds for reprimand, suspension, revocation of the certificate of registration? Is the violation of any provision of the Code of Ethics as approved by the Philippine Medical Association, Republic Act 2382 or the Medical Act of 1959. It is not the Code of Conduct or the Code of Ethics of the Philippine Orthopedic Association or POGS or pediatrics ba dyan. I always emphasize this. This is the Code of Ethics of the PMA. Your Code of Ethics must not be contrary to the provisions of the Code of Ethics of the PMA. Now, ito ang family-owned business. Na ikaw mo'y tagiya sa hospital at bang sa hospital o sa kilid ng hospital mayroong punerarya. Imuha po ng punerarya. So, ikasultis mga tao. Di ba na mayo? Are you projecting the good image of the medical profession? Si Dr. Olarte ang mayari nitong hospital na ito. Siya din ang mayari ng punerarya sa tabi. Di ba? Pangit. It does not promote a good name, the good name of the medical profession. Dagang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw, sa inyong kapwa Bisaya. Thank you very much.
Mayong dagang salamat po, Attorney Olarte, sa imuhang expertise sa pag-share regarding sa ethics. So far, we are being reminded as doctors to become conscious sa ato ang practice. So we strive to do good and we do not do harm to our patients. So we are also nag-emphasize Jude si attorney regarding the primary objective of practice of medicine, which is service to mankind. So whatever we do, it's for the service of mankind. So Attorney Doc, naatay question na ay nag-text. In your talk, basing on the survey, which was presented first among the surveys, it shows that it is unethical for a doctor to prescribe herbal or food supplements from his pharmacy. Yung question niya, Doc, is it ethical if the herbal or food supplements prescribed are from other outlets?
Okay, so debatable, no? Debatable ang ato ang question and answer din eh. No? For me, as long as you disclose to the patient that the herbal medicine that you are prescribing comes from your own pharmaceutical company, or it comes from the pharmaceutical company of another person, and you do not give any assurance or any promise at all that this herbal product can cure your illness, It is ethical to me. For me, my opinion, it is ethical. Basta sabihin mo lang, this is merely to supplement the primary medicine, therapeutic medicine that your doctor is prescribing. Oh, mag-prescribe ka. If you want a herbal coffee, itong herbal coffee. Instead of drinking the ibang coffee niya, prescribing herbal coffee. Sabi ninyo ako, I use the herbal coffee for drinking my medicines. To me, it is not unethical.
Yes.
Pwede. Just be transparent to the patient. Informed consent.
Yes.
Ask the patient. Mao ni epekto herbal lang ni siya, complementary lang ni, or it will supplement. But drink religiously the medicines prescribed by your own physician, your attending physician.
Yes. And in addition, Doc, siguro ang doctor po should not force or siguro dili siya mag-ingon sa pasyente niya, okay, dinhalang jud ka nga pharmacy magpalit. So, daghan po sa other pharmacy nga which is available, pwede po siya magpalit dito.
Correct.
Another question, Doc. What can you advise to specialists who collects professional fees in their clinics, not at the hospital's cashier?
Okay. Sa ako, okay lang. There is no unethical violation or ethical violation in that. Because, alam mo, itong policy for paying for the patient's professional fees to be given to the hospital business office is a government BIR regulation. Aron mabawasan dahil o 10% withholding tax. Kaya og mubayad diretso sa pasyente o sa doktor, wala 10%, way kita ang gobyerno. That's why that is a BIR regulation that all professional fees should be paid to the hospital. Pero kung mo ko ng pasyente, Dok, diri na lang kumubayad sa imuha. Gamay ramang kain eh. Diri na. To me, it's okay. There is no violation. Oh, well, but you pay the tax to the government. When you file your income tax on April 15 of this year, bayaran mo ang income tax due to the government. Okay? Oh, so I lecture also on taxation. Maraming doktor na hinahabol ngayon ng BIR because of failing to file. Failure to file, mag-file lang, bisag wa kay bayran. Mag-file lang kasi mong income tax April 15. If you fail to file your income tax returns on April 15 of every year, that is already considered tax evasion. Pwede ka na ireklamo niyan after 10 years even. You see, so file lang. Total, di man ibig sabihin na nag-file ka, mubayad ka. Usay na rebate. Galing, na imong sobrang ako, mabayaran ka pa sa BIR. Pero di ka yun mo file, delikado. Okay?
Yes, Doc. So, if ever a doctor will ask the professional fee sa iyang clinic, magiging responsibility na niya na magbayad
sa iyang income tax.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Doc, salamat po sa imong time, Doc. So far, katura jud ang ato ang two questions para
Thank you
sa
very
imo. Daghang salamat, Doc, for your time and your expertise. Once again, let us give a round of applause to Attorney Doc Olarte.
Thank you so much, Dr. Olarte and Dr. Peloteo. Now we go to the awarding of certificates. The Philippine Medical Association and UNILA presents this Certificate of Appreciation to our Dr. Leo Olarte in grateful recognition and sincere appreciation for sharing your invaluable time and expertise as speaker on the topic, the ethics of doctors in business, during the PMA UNILAB CPD Regional Assembly for the Western Mindanao region, given this 16th day of February 2025 at DAC Hotel, Tapitan City, Zamboanga del Norte. Signed, Dr. Ricardo Batak, Chair PMA CPD Commission, Dr. Mildred M. Manialak Mariano, Secretary General, Mr. Sebastian Frederick Bakiran, President and CEO Unilab Incorporated, and Dr. Hector Santos Jr., President PMA. Same certificate is also being given to Dr. Michael Angelo H. Caloceo as moderator with the same topic and signatories. Now, let us move on to our next topic, which will be moderated by Dr. Karen Isabel Tiliao, a member of the Pollock City Medical Society. Our